All right, it's literature time. It's Friday. We are going to take a poet by the name of Maya Angelou. You see her there, 1928 to 2014, so she passed away 6 years ago. She was an American author, actress, screenwriter, dancer, poet, civil rights activist. And during the peak of the Civil War, or the civil rights fight to get equal rights for all races, she printed her memoir in 1969, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And this particular poem that we're going to be studying is called Caged Bird. Angelou, just very recognized African-American woman, received several honors throughout her career, the NAACP Image Awards, just a very famous, talented person. Let's get into her poem now, Caged Bird. There's some symbolism here in the bird that's being caged, and we'll see if you can maybe pick up on some of this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you pause the video at this time. I'm going to have you read this poem to yourself, and then we're going to come back and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, I'm going to assume by now you've read. Let's get into the discussion here. So in stanzas 1 and 4, I want you to note, so the first one and then the fourth one, both of them talk about what kind of a bird. They talk about a free bird, right? And what's this bird doing? Anything it wants, right? Flies in the sky, it sits in the trees, it attacks worms in the lawn. Okay, in contrast, the second and the fifth verse, notice there's kind of a refrain in verses 3 and 6. Those caged birds, okay, their wings are clipped, right? Their feet are tied. A contrast to the free birds, the ones that are in cages. Now, according to the speaker, why does the caged bird sing? What does it want? It wants freedom. It sings of freedom. It wants to be free like the birds that are free. In stanza 1, the free bird leaps and dares. What are other words suggesting that they're human actions and emotions describing the birds? I think you can probably figure out by now that these poems are not just about birds, are they? They're about people. These birds are symbols of people. The cage is a symbol of something. All right, so what are some other words that you can maybe see? Some verbs: stalks, thinks, shouts, longs for are examples. And which two stanzas are the same? Like we said before, the third and the sixth stanzas are the same. What purpose is served by doing this, by having the same? Did Maya just get lazy and say, I need 6 verses, I'll just reuse the third one? Probably not. It just emphasizes it's about the caged bird. Fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Kind of sad, actually. The bird in the cage longs to be like those who are not caged. All right, so what kind of person might be symbolized by a bird with clipped wings? Could be a person who's discriminated against. Could be a person who maybe has a disability of some sort, whether mental disability or physical disability, that just can't do what others are able to do, okay? And it's about people whose lives are maybe limited by others, who don't get the opportunities that others get. What kind of human actions might be symbolized by a free bird daring to claim the sky? Daring to claim the sky, it's almost like, you're taking a risk. Right? Risk takers, chances, taking a chance, doing something no one's done before, doing something that nobody will stop you from doing. And then what circumstances could cause a person to feel caged? well, like we said before, those who maybe are discriminated against because of who they are. It might be their gender, it might be their race, it could be a disability of some kind. And being an African American, excuse me, woman that Maya was, we can probably conclude she's talking about, those who are caged, the birds who are caged are African Americans because they do not have the freedoms maybe that others had. And this country in some respects is still segregated, but it was even more so back when Maya wrote this. Things are better, but there's still some work to be done there. And so it is most likely sort of a metaphor, the birds that are caged, those who are discriminated against, those who do not have the opportunities that others have. And so, however, you could also, talk about those who maybe don't have, who are disabled, those who don't have maybe in some countries, some of the freedoms. And maybe you feel like a caged bird right now, just being quarantined and, in your house, not being able to, to get out and go places, go to a restaurant, go to we can go to stores if we need to. We can go, for walks if we must, or, walk the dog or whatever. But otherwise, maybe we feel, kind of like a caged bird in some cases. But most likely, Maya Angelou's talking about race and also discrimination based on that. Okay, some more items of information on this poem to help us to understand it better, and also maybe to get ready for our quiz as well. Remember that you'll have a quiz on Concord Hymn and this one as well, which I will send you today. So what is the caged bird? Why is the caged bird singing? It's singing of freedom, right? It wants to be free. In caged bird, the free bird really wants to, he dares to explore, right? He's got all this sky to fly in. And so the free bird takes risks, dares to explore, whereas maybe the caged bird, they can't take the risks. And so caged bird, the cage, we didn't talk about this yet, but the cage is a symbol of the limits that are put on people. So because you are, an African American, or because you are disabled, you can't do things that others can't do, and others will maybe put those limits on you. Okay, it's what it's talking about. So the cage itself is just a symbol of limits that are put on people. And in caged bird, the caged bird actually sings because I guess it's really the only means of only thing it knows how to make people listen, to maybe help them escape. And so maybe this is more of she's talking about how when there is discrimination of some kind, to speak out against it, to sing about it. And then, it's almost like you almost get a feeling of despair in this, for those who are feeling caged, those who are feeling discriminated against. There is a feeling of despair from them. Also, in both, just note that in both birds, there are words that are suggesting human actions and emotions to describe both of the birds, not just the caged bird, but also the free bird as well. And then a bird with clipped wings in this poem symbolizes a person in a confined, limited situation. A free bird daring to claim the sky, is someone who is taking risks and trying to reach goals and has the freedom to do so. Confinement and prejudice can cause someone, and in this case the bird, to feel to feel confined and not. It's not a source of comfort or protection at all. And then caged bird uses symbolism. So the caged bird is one who feels discriminated against. The cage is a limit that is put on somebody, and the free bird are those who are free to do whatever they want to do based on things that maybe they don't have the things that would limit others from doing that. All right, so there's our poem for today. You're more than prepared for the quiz now. If you've watched these videos, I would watch each of them again, Concord, Hymn, and Cage Bird again one more time before you take your quiz, just to make sure you're prepared. Okay, have a good weekend, everybody.